Two nations, born of the same blood, the same language, and a single shared history, are today locked in a desperate struggle for survival on a land soaked in red. One side claims to be reclaiming its past. The other fights to protect its future. But this war did not begin in 2022. This story started over 1,000 years ago in a shared cradle. From the golden domes of Kyiv to the cold halls of the Moscow Kremlin. From the man-made famine of the Holodomor to the seismic collapse of the Soviet.
It was the largest demonstration in
For centuries, Russia called Ukraine its little sister. But the Ukrainian soul has paid in blood to define its own destiny. Is this conflict the end of a dynasty or the birth of a new world order? Today, we look beyond the front lines at a story of betrayal, resilience, and a 1,000-year search for identity laid of history. In the grand tapestry of history, can you believe there was a time when Russia and Ukraine were just figments of imagination? That's right. It all started with the mighty Rus, back in the 9th century era when Kyiv emerged as the pulsating heart of an empire so vast, it could make your head spin. Kyivan Rus. This was the birthplace of Slavic culture, Orthodox Christianity, and a shared identity that was nothing short of legendary. For centuries, these people basked in the cradle of their shared heritage, living in harmony like a well-rehearsed symphony. But, oh boy, history can be a real bastard when it comes to carving up borders. Enter the Mongol invasion of the 13th century. What a wild ride that was. It absolutely wrecked the Rus, sending the East spiralling into the rise of Moscow, while the West got cozy with influences of Europe. Just like said, the seeds of two vastly different destinies were sown in the rubble of Kyiv, leaving us to wonder what the hell could have been if history had taken a different turn. By the time we hit the 17th century, Moscow had morphed into an absolute juggernaut. I mean, seriously, it was like a heavyweight champ flexing its muscles. Under the jaw-dropping Treaty of Pereyaslav, Ukraine was practically begging for protection. From the mighty Russian Tsar, this was a deal that would shape the next 300 freaking years. To the Russian Empire, Ukraine was nothing more than Malorussia, Little Ru, like Votsehel. But the fierce Ukrainian spirit wasn't about to roll over and play dead. Oh no, through the breathtaking poems of Taras, Shevchenko, and the unquenchable fire of the Cossacks, a vibrant national identity was igniting like a phoenix from the ashes, even as the Tsars stomped down on the Ukrainian language and silenced its brilliant scholars. The dream of a free and sovereign Ukraine just wouldn't go away. It was like a stubborn weed in a garden of oppression, refusing to be pulled. The collapse of the Russian Empire in 1917 brought a brief moment of hope. Ukraine declared independence, but it was short-lived. The Bolsheviks marched in, and Ukraine was swallowed by the Soviet Union. Then came the 1930 hour, Joseph Stalin's Holodomor, a man-made famine designed to crush the Ukrainian peasantry. Millions perished in silence while the world looked away. This was not just a tragedy. It was a scar on the collective memory of a nation, a scar that has never truly healed. When the Nazi war machine rolled across the Soviet Union, Ukraine became the bloodiest battlefield on earth. From the ruins of Sevastopol to the streets of Kyiv, millions of Ukrainians fought. In the Red Army, they died alongside Russians to defeat a common evil. For a moment, They were brothers in arms. But when the smoke cleared, the Soviet Iron Curtain fell once more, and the identity of Ukraine was again buried under the weight of Moscow's Central Command. The colossal Soviet titan didn't just fade away with a dramatic explosion. It went out with a mere flick of a pen. In 1991, the mighty USSR crumbled like a house of cards. And guess what? Ukraine, like a bold warrior, just stood up and strutted off, carting away the planet's third largest nuclear arsenal as if it were no big deal. Fast forward to 1994, and through the Budapest Memorandum talk about a fancy name, Ukraine decided to ditch its nukes in exchange for a shiny promise that Russia, the US, and the UK would totally respect its borders. Sounds simple enough, right? But let me tell you, that promise was just ink on paper, and it would soon be put to the ultimate test by iron and steel. What the hell were they thinking? The 21st century dropped a bombshell of a choice right in our laps. East or West. In 2013, a pro-Russian president did a complete 180 on Europe. Like, what the hell was he thinking? The streets of Kyiv erupted as the fearless people of Ukraine stormed the Maidan, standing tall against sniper fire and bone-chilling nights. All for the shimmering glimmer of democracy. This wasn't just any revolution. This was the revolution of dignity. And boy, did it come with a hefty price tag. But in the twisted mind of Vladimir Putin, this wasn't a glorious revolution, it was a full-on coup orchestrated by the West. Talk about a betrayal. The Brotherhood, yeah, that was officially dead and buried. In 2014, the entire damn world was left utterly gobsmacked as those infamous Russian little green men swaggered into the Crimean Peninsula like they owned the place. And then, boom, war erupted in the coal mines of Donbass, igniting a fiery inferno of conflict that would leave everyone reeling. For a staggering 8 long years, a low-intensity war brewed in the muddy trenches of eastern Ukraine, with a whole generation of soldiers coming of age amidst the chaos and grime. Meanwhile, diplomats were signing agreements in Minsk that were about as trustworthy as a $3 bill. Nobody was ever planning to keep those promises. Honestly, it was like watching a slow-motion train wreck, and the stage was set for catastrophe of epic proportions. February 24th, 2022, the sun rose over a Kyiv under fire. Vladimir Putin's special military operation began with a goal to decapitate the Ukrainian state in days. But the world underestimated the resolve of a nation that had spent centuries fighting for its name. Today, the fields of Ukraine are scarred by trenches reminiscent of World War. This is no longer just a border dispute. It is a war for the future of the international order. 2 nations, once born of the same cradle, are now locked in a struggle that only one can survive intact. History is watching, and the price is being paid in blood.